my review of Jojo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders episode 41, part 2 of Darby the Player. And we're not done, people. Yeah, this isn't going to be a two-parter, this is going to be a 2.5-parter. So before we get to Jotaro versus Darby, we still have to conclude the F-Mega video game. Apparently, after you leave the tunnel, you get a speed boost where you go twice as fast. I didn't know you can do that in F-Mega, but apparently you can. But Kakyoin does have another trick up his sleeve, and it is the spinning technique that he used before, except this time to knock Darby off course. And since Darby had the least amount of power, it was easier for Kakyoin to knock him off the course. Unfortunately, this was actually part of Darby's plan to get to the other side of the track so that he can get an even more of a lead in the race. And even though there were 2 laps left, apparently it wasn't possible for Kakyoin to catch up, which I believe is possible in some racing games, but I'm not exactly sure. So Darby asks Kakyoin if he wants to continue. Jotaro tells him not to accept defeat. Unfortunately, he does in his mind, and Atum was able to extract his soul and put him inside the Kakyoin doll. It really sucks that Kakyoin did lose, but at least you gotta give him credit for giving it his all and for overcoming that fear from what was shown in last week's episode. And since he has Kakyoin's soul, Jotaro and Joseph can't kill him, otherwise they would also kill Kakyoin as well. Although it was very creepy that while he was explaining this to Joseph and Jotaro, he was like touching Kakyoin, well, the doll at least, but it's still Kakyoin's soul in the doll. I mean, he was like stroking his front, his face, even like rubbing his face against the doll. I mean, he was like lifting up his like coat just to see like what was it under it? I don't fucking know, but it was like very creepy the way he was like touching and stroking and rubbing his face. Ugh. What is up with creepy guys doing these things to Kakyoin? I mean, first Dio and now Darby. You know, the Jotaro/Kakyoin pairing doesn't seem all that bad when you see what Darby's doing to him. Oh my god. So, next up is Jotaro challenging Darby to a game of baseball called Oh, That's a Baseball! I'm totally not kidding, that is the title of the video game. Oh, That's a Baseball. What's even funnier is the announcer in the game actually says that all in English, which I like that announcer in that game. I like how he says the words in English. It makes it more entertaining. And I want to call bullshit on this feature because in this game, there's a touch screen where you can draw your characters. Because there's no way a game in the 80s would have a feature like this. I mean, maybe Mario Paint, but I don't know when Mario Paint came out. I mean, is there a game in the 80s where you can draw in your characters and put them into the game? I don't know, maybe you guys can let me know. And you know, since he drew the stands, Star Platinum and Atum are going to be the baseball players in this game, which I find hilarious because you see Star Platinum and Atum wearing baseball uniforms, which is really cool and funny at the same time. Unfortunately for Jotaro and Joseph, there are 3 problems with this. 1, the game that Jotaro picked happened to be Darby's best game. Of course, because this is just like when he picked poker for Darby the Gambler, which happened to be his best game. 2, Jotaro picked a game that he's never played before. And 3, he never played a video game before. You know, it would have been a good idea to just burn the mansion instead of going in, you know? I mean, where the hell would Dio hide? I mean, it's still daytime too, so he couldn't escape outside. So, yeah, they probably should have done that, but, you know, no. That would have made way too much sense. That would have been too logical. There were times where he kept missing his swings, or he swung too early or too late, and he was just pressing the button like multiple times. But what was his response when Joseph asked him if he's never played a video game before? Whatever, I know the rules for baseball. I'll figure out the controls as I go. Well, it's a good thing that he's a quick learner and that this was the first inning, because now he's gotten used to the controls and was able to hit a home run with his 3rd player. And what I like about this game is that every time there's a home run, the home run in letters like flies out to the screen and there are fireworks exploding into the sky, and sometimes they show the fireworks behind either Darby or Jotaro or Joseph, even though they're on an illusionary island world, but yeah. So Jotaro in the first inning has hit 3 more home runs, making him in the lead by 4 points. And according to Darby, Whoever is ahead by 11 points wins the game. And speaking of Darby, he was surprised by this. He was even sweating a bit and starting to get a bit agitated, but he does regain his composure and calm down. Joseph, on the other hand, okay, seriously, Joseph went full speed wagon in this episode. I mean, not only with his commentary, but his reactions and his like screaming and yelling and his cheers. He's like, home run, home run. I mean, the way he was even laughing was funny. And he gives Darby an offer. He goes out to him and tells him that if he takes them to deal, and of course, frees Kakyoin's soul, then they would spare his life. But, you know, Darby, being the butler of the mansion, he wouldn't betray Dio. So this is when he turns the tide into his favor. He told them the time that Darby the Gambler was flirting with his girlfriend when he was 15 years old. Yeah, Darby has a girlfriend. I don't know what happened to her, so don't ask me. So Darby beats up his older brother, kicks him so hard that he was vomiting blood, and broke his ribs. So why did he tell them this? Well, it's to let them know that not even Darby the Gambler, the master gambler and cheater, would ever beat his younger brother. He knew this ever since they were children. That is how good Darby the player is. Not only that, but he knew that Jotaro was uncertain about him. He was trying to figure out about Atem's stand ability. They already knew that Atem can extract souls just like Osiris, but they were trying to figure out his second ability, which had to do something with what happened in last week's episode when he predicted which arm Star Platinum was going to use to punch him. And Darby uses that ability by declaring what kind of pitch he was going to throw. Jotaro did believe it. Unfortunately, instead of it being a forkball, it was a straight fastball, which caused the third out of the game, making it Darby's turn to hit. Now, initially they believed that the second ability was to read minds, so Jotaro had to test that out on the next two pitches just to see if they were right. The first pitch was to hit the player, but Atem moved and hit a home run. The next pitch was aiming at the catcher's leg, but Atem still managed to make another home run, and now he's only behind by 1 point. And frickin' Darby was acting all cocky, acting like he's won. But things start to get even more serious when Jotaro takes off his hat. And you know it's serious when he takes off his own hat. He did say that the reason why he took it off was because he was getting all sweaty. But things start to get even more serious and tense when he declares his pitch being a straight high to the outside. And Joseph and Darby were wondering why the hell he is declaring his pitch. And the episode ends with the tension rising and Jotaro saying, "Will you believe me or not?" So overall, this episode was another entertaining one. I'm not sure if this is better than last week's episode, but it did catch my intrigue and interest with not only the baseball game, but also to figuring out Atem's second stand ability. With Kakyoin losing, it really did suck because this is his first official fight since he came back, and I don't know, I was kind of hoping that he would win, but then again, that would be a bit cliched, but whatever. What really sucked even more is that now he's a doll, and Darby was very creepy towards Kakyoin. I'm just saying, please stop it with all the creepy stuff with him, please. I was a bit worried with Jotaro, but I know that he is the main character, so he's gonna pull it off somehow. I know he's going to win. But it's just seeing him like trying to learn the controls and, you know, not off to a really good start at the beginning of the game. I was pretty nervous with that. Darby in this episode was definitely acting very cocky and confident, but he's not the kind of guy that would let his guard down. And he'd give it his all when it comes to wagering souls. I did like learning more about him and his relationship with his brother. We even get to see different still images of what happened in that situation, and it just proves like how tough this guy really is, because not even his older brother, Darby the Gambler, would beat or take on his younger brother. As for the baseball game itself, I thought it was like pretty cool. There are definitely some nice touches added into this game, like the fireworks, the home run, the announcer speaking in English. Now the animation used in this game, well, you can tell there is a big difference between F Mega and, oh, it's a baseball. I can't get over that title, it sounds funny. There is a difference between those two, but I still think the animation in the baseball video game was pretty cool. And I know this is gonna make me sound a bit immature, but if you pause at like the right moment when Star Platinum is pitching, you'll see his butt. And it's a very big butt. I'm just saying, like, it's like right there, like, I can't be the only one who noticed this! Like, oh my god, now people think I'm gonna... Another thing I like about this episode is the mystery behind Atum's second stand ability. Not only figuring this out, but also trying to figure out what kind of trick that Jotaro is going to do to pull off another win. And if you pay attention to this episode, there are several hints and clues. It was led to believe that Atum's second ability was to read minds, but I don't think that's it. There's probably more to it, and well, I noticed that when Darby was talking about Jotaro, there was this purple, fuzzy aura thing that takes the form of Jotaro, so I was like wondering that maybe he can predict what is going to happen by not just reading his mind. Maybe that's not it, but to see into his aura or into his soul or something. I originally thought that he has to say it out loud what his prediction is going to be in order for it to be true, but I don't think that is it. I also thought that Atum had to look at Jotaro to see into his soul or aura to figure out what he's going to do to make his predictions, which I figured that because in this one scene when you see Atum's face close up, you'll see like one eye had an image of Jotaro and the other eye with an image of Star Platinum. So okay, so here's the theory I have with Atum's stand ability. I think that he can't read minds, but he can tell what is going to happen, what Jotaro or Star Platinum is going to do by reading either his soul or his aura or his energy or something like that. It also explains why Jotaro took off his hat, maybe to block Darby and Atum's view, since they were looking at him or something. But there's obviously more to it than that. I mean, when he took off his hat, because when Joseph was like near Jotaro, like his hand on his shoulder, like he had this some sort of like realization and he like backed off. Like he knew that Jotaro has a plan. I don't know why he's declaring what kind of pitch he's doing, but I know that there's some sort of trick that is going on. That's all I got so far, but I think next week's episode will shed more light behind this mystery. Voice acting once again was also good. Unsho Ishizuka is actually doing a pretty good job with Joseph, you know, with his commentary and his like yelling, his cheering, and his laughing. And also, Daisuke Hirakawa, he was actually making a lot of moaning noises. He was like, like every time you like cut to like the Kakyoin doll, you hear like Kakyoin making that noise. I was like, oh my god, I feel so bad for him. As for music, it was also very good, and I like that music that was used at the ending scene. It definitely added up the tension and get you all excited for what's going to happen in next week's episode. So overall, another good, entertaining episode, and it was definitely intriguing learning the mystery behind Atum's second stand ability and what Jotaro is going to pull off to win. So next week's episode, since the preview was safe to watch, we're going to get a continuation of this fight, which is surprising because this is the first time we're going to get more than a two-parter. In fact, this is like a 2.5-parter because, well, next week's episode is going to be called the Miasma of the Void Cool Ice Part 1. So we're not only going to get the conclusion to Darby the player, but we're going to get to the 10th and final stand user. And apparently his name is Cool Ice. I guess he's cool like ice. Like, what the fuck is that? Well, then again, even if he does have a weird name, what was really surprising is that we don't know what he looks like. We don't know his stand. I mean, he wasn't even shown in the preview. All that was shown was Darby the player. They're definitely hiding on what's going to happen in the next fight, which I believe is going to feature Abdul, Polnareff, and Iggy. So I'm looking forward to that fight. But I'm also looking forward to how Jotaro is going to defeat Darby, because I heard that Darby's defeat is really cool, so I'm looking forward to it. So tell me guys, what do you think of this week's episode of Stardust Crusaders? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Do you have any idea as to the second stand ability for Atum? And what did you think of the baseball game? that was going on in this week's episode. Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like the video if you like it and subscribe to more videos, and be sure to check out my Facebook fan page and Google+. So yeah, that is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stars Crusaders episode 41. Another very good, entertaining episode. I'm looking forward to next week, that's for sure. I'm going to spell 27, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.